I've got a book, it's a short story in a book, so it's not really my book, but it has a short story that's mine in the book, and I am singing what I don't know why, because this isn't even a music I know. Yeah, that's it. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be doing a fashionable, beautiful, amazing book haul that is going to count with a very, very special thing for me and that I want to share with you guys because I think I've shared this already, but most of you have not seen it probably, and I'm just so excited that I couldn't even think about a song to adapt to books today. So I just have to go and sing from the top of my lungs that I was very excited about the situation. So if you want to know what that is, stick with me until the end or half of the book haul. We don't know. I might pop the information in a single moment of panicky and of I'm gonna do this right now because I can't hold it anymore. So just stay focused. Stay focused. Be part of the book haul. Okay. I am a panic excited creature. Let's just get into the book haul. First of all, let's get into the things that I normally receive, and that's not going to be a surprise for you, but I want to talk about it. And that is The Joker Presents a Puzzlebox issue 7. This is by DC Comics, and it is by, let me see, it's written by Matthew Rosenberg. The artists are Mike Norton, Jesus Merino, and Vicente Cifuentes, and the colors are by Roman Stevens and Ulysses Ariola. Then there's lettering, and of course the cover is by Chip Zdarsky, which all of the covers that I'm collecting of The Joker Presents a Puzzlebox are by Chip Zdarsky, and some of them I want to frame. Not this one in particular, because this one is extremely pink, and if you know me and are looking at me dressed in black, pink is not really my color, especially the strong kind of bright neon pink. I could go with old pink at any day, but this type of pink, not really. But it does go well with the green from the Joker's hair. I am reading this series even though I hated it at the beginning. I am now enjoying it immensely since I started reading this for fun, and I was like, okay, this is cool, I'm laughing. It has a different approach to the Batman villains and everything. So I'm just enjoying it, and I'm happy to have the next issue. At the time that I'm filming this, I currently haven't read this, but I am thinking about it, obviously. Then we have another one that you all know that I get each month. However, this is special for me because this fucking cover is absolutely terrifying, and that is The Joker, issue 12. If you are seeing this Joker, like, batshit crazy, just throwing spit everywhere inside of a cell, possibly in Arkham Asylum, and just with those vests that we associate with asylums, and restraining people, and his eyes, like, just gushing stuff, and he's full of blood, and all of the walls say, ha ha ha. And it's creepy, and all of the inside of the cell is black, so we can't see anything, and we just have this big face that you can see here. And I love this. If I had another copy of this issue, I would just frame this cover, because this is peak horror Joker, peak batshit crazy Joker, and I'm here for it. And I hope that this issue is a great one, because with a cover like this, the expectations are high. And I have to say that these recent issues have been flashbacks or something that it's not that interesting, it's not moving forward, so I wanted to move forward. So the writer of this, as you are tired of knowing, is James Tynion IV. Then we have Giuseppe Camuncoli in pencils and Cam Smith in inks, and the colors are by Arif Prianto and Romulo Fajardo Jr. And then we have a bunch of other people that participate in cover arts and lettering and etc. But I love this cover, so I'm really glad that I got this cover for this issue. Now, since we are talking about comics, and I happen to see that this one was right here, I have Stillwater Volume 2 in the trade edition. And this is by Chip Zdarsky, which you might have heard as the cover artist for The Joker Presents a Puzzlebox, and by Ramon K. Perez and Mike Spicer. And I am not entirely sure, as I've told you, I have not yet read Stillwater Volume 1. I'm not entirely sure what this is about. However, I think it's about this this small town, possibly serial killers. I'm not entirely sure, but it's supposed to be sort of a horror thrillering thing. And the cover of this is a woman with half woman, half skeleton. So it's already beautiful. The striking colors, it's just, I love it. I hope it's good. I have a lot of expectations for this. And now for something completely different. So do you know when you're very keen on reading something, but just because of hearing so much about it, but you don't know if you're going to like it, and then you don't know if you should get it, if you shouldn't, but you can't resist anymore knowing what everyone is talking about. So I did it. I succumbed and I got Sarah J. Maas's Throne of Glass. I know you were all hoping that I wouldn't be that girl. I was hoping I wouldn't be that girl. I was hoping I wouldn't be that person. I am. I'm going to read this with a very open mind. I like fantasy, I like young adult fantasy, even though I don't like stuff with a fae specifically. I don't know why, it just unnerves me. I never think they're well done whatsoever. I want to try this out. For some reason, people like this author. For some reason, people like her series. And I do know that Throne of Glass, particularly the 2 first books, I don't know, aren't considered as great as the rest of her writing. However, I wanted to start here because it is the beginning of the series that she wrote, and I want to see the progression of her as an author. And if I really hate this, then I just won't read Throne of Glass and I will try any other of her series. But I do believe that they're all interconnected now, so I don't know. It happened, okay? It happened. Don't judge me. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm just going to enjoy it and see if it's interesting as people say it is. Then we have mangas, and we have volume 6 and 7 of Ran and the Grey World by Aki Hide. And these covers, like, this is the ending of the Ran series, which I haven't read any of them, so I don't know if this is good, but just for the art style of this alone, it is fucking worth it. It's one of the most beautiful art styles that I have in this household. And just the story of itself with magic and with a little girl with powers, wishing to be an adult and being something like a coming of age story. I hope that I can make a good review for you guys of these and read them all and just bring them to you, because this one is one that I haven't heard a lot about and that I think that just for the art style alone should be more heard of. So let's see if it's not a complete disaster, but I do now own the entirety of Ran and the Grey World series. Then we have another one that I didn't know if I was going to read or not, but I got this, and this is like a first edition in Portuguese that has been out of the market for a long time. It has the movie cover and then it has the normal cover underneath, which we prefer sincerely, and that is Horns by Joe Hill. And if you know this channel, if you've been in this channel for a while now, you know that one of my favorite graphic novel series is Lock and Key by Joe Hill. I loved it. I think that he has an extreme, amazing, beautiful narration power and horror narration power, specifically in what regards graphic novels and that story in particular. And because of that, I just picked up The Heart-Shaped Box, which is his first novel work, so his first work as a writer. And I did not like it. I believe I gave it 2 stars or something like that, and I couldn't give it 1 because it wasn't terrible. And in what regards like the construction of plot and the construction of characters, but I couldn't feel empathy towards any of the characters, and I couldn't feel like I was excited to know about the story. There were scary times, but it wasn't what I was expecting. And so I have a very love-hate relationship with Joe Hill, since I love Lock and Key and I abhor The Heart-Shaped Box. But Horns sounds really intriguing. First of all, I had to get this edition because it is by a printer or a sub-printer that is already out of business here in Portugal, which is 1001 Worlds. In Portuguese, it said Million Mundos. So I wanted this for that reason. And then we have the movie cover with Daniel Radcliffe, and we have the beautiful cover with the... It's pitchfork that you call this? I don't know. And the premise of this sounds amazing. It sounds like an exploration of grief and of society and how we involve ourselves in our society and society surrounding us. So I am very excited to read this. I actually didn't know the premise of this, and it kind of reminded me of The Crow. If you've ever watched that movie or read that graphic novel. It's one of my favorites as well, very, very dark. I cry every time I read the graphic novel. So, but yeah, it's about these two people. They have met really young and they loved each other, but they were together for like a decade, and the girl was raped and killed. In inexplicable conditions, and everyone suspects of the boy, in this case, Ignatius. It's kind of Latin, Ignatius, I think. And so he just secludes himself because everyone thinks it was his fault and he was the one to do it, which I want to see how people reach that conclusion. And he secludes himself, and after a year of seclusion and being suffering and alone, he wakes up one morning with really bad headaches, and he discovers that horns had just sprouted from his head in the night. And this is apparently the beginning of maybe a revenge story. I don't know. But it does say in the original cover, it says, when it's about revenge, the devil is in the details. And if you know me, you know that I am absolutely in love with revenge stories. I love them. It started with my obsession with the Count of Monte Cristo, and then it just went. And in horror, revenge is amazing. It's not only a therapeutic kind of reflection and streaming of conscience situation that can help the writer heal and the readers heal as well through something that will probably never happen, because in real life people aren't there taking revenge on each other unless they are very, very powerful, and then they use their countries to take revenge on each other. But I digress. It's a very beautiful and scary way of dealing with traumatic situations. And so just because of that, I am extremely intrigued, and I am willing to give Joe Hill a second chance in novel format. And I am hoping and praying that I like this, because the premise of this sounds amazing. And I hope it really is, and that I'm not wrong again. Speaking of creepy stories and situations that people don't feel good with, we have Blood on the Tracks Volume 8 by Shuzo Oshimi. And if you're seeing the shelf behind me, I have an entirety of Shuzo Oshimi's collection in English. I also have one of his mangas in Spanish, and I'm dying to have like all of his works, because Shuzo Oshimi is amazing. All of his works explore the coming of age and the growing up and the difference between childhood, adolescence, and then young adult, sort of new adult passage. And it always has to do with a very specific topic. In the case of Blood on the Tracks, it's about the complex relationship between mother and son. I don't want to read the back of this. I don't want to tell anything more about this. I have only read the first 2 volumes. For some fucking stupid reason, I stopped, and there's now 8 volumes out, and I think I'm just going to devour this, because I am one of those people that just punish themselves. And yes, I am ashamed of saying this, but I am like this. It's about my psychological constructs. I'm trying to work on that to be better. But books and movies and things that I think that I'm really going to love, I tend to not read them at the time, just because I know that I'm going to love them so much that then something is going to be like missing in my life, because I won't have the same experience of tackling them for the first time. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, or if you just think I'm insane, which at this point my sanity just left the building, so you're not wrong. But Blood on the Tracks is one of those. Shujo Shimi is amazing. I've read his Happiness manga series, which you definitely should. And this one sounds like it's going to be one of the greatest. I still have 2 more series by him. 2 more? Yeah, 2 more series by him that I absolutely have to read. One of them is complete and the other one is almost complete. So yeah, one of my favorite mangakas right here. And obviously the art style of this is amazing, and all of the shadows that he uses and all of the drawings that he does and the positions that he puts the characters in are specific. And for me, they are detailed because they mean something. And so it's just an amazing experience. Talking about amazing experiences, I am going to do a shameless plug here, but people, I have to, because it's not like I'm insanely proud of myself, but I am so fucking happy. A little bit of context here. I have always dreamed of being a writer. It's always something that since I was a little girl and I learned how to write, I wanted to do so. However, because of certain situations in my life, mental health situations, also me thinking that it wasn't a job that I could make a life with just with it, but me knowing that I have to focus and have to have time to develop my ideas and my creations, so I should leave it behind and just focus on a job that will give me money and prosperity and the ability of being stable and having a family and just developing my life and not just living under the bridge, which kind of sounds crass of me saying in a book haul, but it's true. So because of that, I had never pursued writing by itself. I've wrote some stories when I was really young, and they were a piece of trash, as all of the stories that you write when you're really, really young are, unless you are extremely genius writing thingy. And then I wrote a Portuguese tale, which was in a Portuguese Christmas anthology, which was fun, but I kind of wrote it like, okay, I'm gonna do it because I know that this is very particular, so most of the people are not going to read it, and I'm just going to do it so I don't forget how to kind of write a story. And I did it, and it was published. It was fine. Pretty much nobody read that shit unless the authors themselves, because they just all purchased the book, and that's what happened. But now, this all to say that I published my first story in English, which you might say, but you're Portuguese, why are you writing in English? Because for me, the English language always had a different feeling. I always felt like it was my second language, I should and could speak and write and read English as well as Portuguese. I don't know how to explain this, but yeah, I did it. And so I submitted a tale to this anthology, and I got in. And I am so extremely happy beyond words, and I had to present to you guys in this book haul because I got a copy for myself, and for my mother, and for my dad, and for my boyfriend, and for the friend that actually told me to do it. So I am the biggest shipper of my book. But, well, my short story. But that is Terror in the Trench. And this is by Dead Sea Press, which is a new indie horror press that is dedicated alone to actual horror aquatic tales. There is 15 authors in here. This is volume 1 of that press, and it was edited by J. Alexander, and the cover of this was also made by J, and it's beautiful and amazing. And inside of this book, there's 15 tales of 15 authors, and I am one of them. On page 205, I believe, if I'm correct. Yeah. On page 205, you can see The Last Dive by catarinainesprata, which is me. And I couldn't be prouder to be with the people that I am in here. So I'm just going to tell the names of all of the authors of all of the tales, and I would ask you to please get this book, not because I want to be stroked in my ego, but because all of the profits, we don't get any of the profits, and that's okay because this is like for charity, and all of the profits of this book go to the Shark Trust Foundation, the UK Shark Trust Foundation, which is a foundation that invests in the preservation of sharks and rays and other creatures and reefs and everything, which marine preservation, marine biology preservation is extremely important in the world that we live now. It was also important, it was always important, but now it's even more important because of everything that's happening, climate changes and people just hunting animals with no sense and just not understanding marine biology that we have. And so because of that, we all got together and we wrote for that. And so the 15 authors in here are Laurel Hightower, Kay Hannafin, Joshua Marcella, Thomas Gloom, Mocha Pennington, Nicola Capron, Nikki R. Lee, Spencer Hamilton, Matthew Stevens, Megan Keehill Anderson, I'm sorry, I thought this was another person because it's a big name. Andrew Cole, catarinainesprata, which is me, Hannah Hulbert, Craig Walwork, and Jack Harding. So if you like horror, if you want to dip your toes into aquatic horror, there are trigger warnings here in the ending of the book so that you can go safely into any of the stories that you want. I highly recommend these authors. I highly recommend the stories. I am going to make a review on this book because obviously leaving out my story, but because I want to bring awareness of what is going on and of the people that participate in this book. And so because of that, I will be really, really happy if you want to just give it a go and just try it. And also if you want to talk about my story, I would be eternally grateful because I love criticism. The type of criticism that makes you grow and not the type that just wants to throw you down, because that's a really bad type of criticism. But apart from that, this is my shameless plug. I have a story in English in an anthology, and I am so, so grateful to Jay Alexander for choosing my story, for believing in my story, and for saying, okay, let's get published, because for me it was a sensation, like someone was validating the fact that I wanted to be a writer and that I could. So I was really happy about it. And now, after I cried about this, let's get into manga again. And I have the 16th volume of Fullmetal Alchemist, the Fullmetal edition, which is a beautiful hardcover edition. And just, I love this. I love this so much. Fullmetal Alchemist, as I've stated many, many times, is one of my favorite stories in fantasy and in other genres ever. So if you haven't read the manga, which I understand because it's a pretty big manga, I do recommend that you watch Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, since it's a very faithful adaptation of the manga and it's amazing. But you should read the manga. This is by Hiromu Harakawa, and if you have the chance, you should read it because she was like one of the first women to actually create big shonen series in Japan, and Fullmetal was that series, so I recommend it. I couldn't not recommend it since I love it so much. Then we have The Witch and the Beast, Volume 8 by Kosuke Satake, and I have only read the first one of these, but I am just on track with this series, and I do want to read more of it. All of the covers have this noir feeling, and since it is sort of an investigation, but in a fantasy kind of world, I love it. I couldn't not love it. And we have berserkers, we have magicians, we have witches, which are all bad in this universe from what I can gather, and we have so much magic, and I don't know. I love this. I don't know how many volumes it's going to be, but the first one was amazing, and I hope that the rest of them is as good. I am also thinking about doing a review when I read these all in one go. If you want that, please tell me something in the comments down below. And then finally, we have a new release here in Portugal, which has already come out in the rest of the world, as per usual. But that is The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. And first of all, this is so yellow, and I've discovered that yellow is actually a terrifying color because it's supposed to bring you sun, and it's supposed to bring you like summer and warmth and safety and protection. But actually, when you put it in specific contextualizations of environments or character developing or backgrounds or something, which I have learned watching Midsommar by Ari Aster. If you haven't, fucking awesome movie. I have no idea what I fucking saw, and I don't know how to categorize that movie, but awesome. And yellow is actually really disturbing because it's associated with good and growth and flowers and summer, but it can be terrifying. And so the fact that this is all yellow in this edition, I love it. And the fact that the spine is also yellow and very like minimalistic, I really love it. I think that's why I wanted to get this and not because of the story by itself. But the story by itself is also cool. It says that there's this creepy place that was a sanatorium, and now a sanatorium, sorry, and now it's not anymore. He was renovated, I am seeing in the back, and it was transformed in a luxurious hotel with very singular characteristics and obviously the memories of the people that were in the sanatorium. Which, if you've ever seen any horror movie in your life, you would know that even if it was reformed to a luxurious hotel, if that shit was a sanatorium previously, I wouldn't go there. Or I would go there just to see the paranormal phenomenon, but I would have my car on the go to get the fuck out of there when something happened, because I've watched too many horror movies to actually get into this shit and stay here for the entirety of the night. But I digress. It says that it's a very nice hotel in the Alps, and Detective Ellen Warner, and she's recovering from an intense investigation. She doesn't want to be there. She's our main character, but she receives an unexpected invitation to commemorate the engagement of Isaac, which is her brother, and they are estranged. So it's like, okay, we are estranged, but I'm going to get married, and I want you to come to celebrate my engagement to this fucking terrifying sanatorium that is now a very luxurious hotel, because that fucking makes sense, because rich people have to do this shit. Why can't you get engaged in a park? In a park! I mean, it would be lovely in the summer, like in a beautiful park with all of the birds just chirping away. And why do you have to go to a previous sanatorium? I mean, I would do that because I'm crazy and I like horror stuff. But being engaged there, dude, I don't know. I don't know. But as I was saying, so she has to go. She's going to get face to face with the past. So we know there's going to be stuff here. So when she gets there, there's a big storm, like a snowstorm or something, which, I mean, could you get more cliche? But I love that. I love that there's always snowstorms everywhere, because here I never get snow. So it's awesome to see snow. And when she wakes up in the next morning, she finds out that Lore, which is the fiancé of her brother, has disappeared without a trace. And the storm starts to impede all of the hotel accesses, and the guests start to panic because it was a previous sanatorium and there's a storm and they don't know where to go and they can't get out, and there's someone missing, and but apparently there were more missing people, it says here. So it's like and then there were none, but without the killings and just disappearances in an Alps hotel with a former police investigator for an engagement party. I don't know, it sounds kind of fun, it sounds kind of thrillering. I hope it has something good in here, because honestly, it kind of sounds cliche as well, but sometimes that's fun. I don't know. So continuing with the pretense that is still the same day, still the same haul as per usual, I have another one of Dead Sea's anthology of aquatic horror. As per usual, these are edited by J. Alexander, and this is volume 2. So I've introduced you volume 1, which I'm a part of, and now we have volume 2, and it's called Shadows Beneath the Surface. And first of all, the cover is amazing as per usual with J's covers, and from what I gather, it's stories, so I don't participate in this one, first of all, but I wanted to have it because it's aquatic horror, which is something that I extremely enjoy watching and apparently writing as well. And because apparently it's stories about creatures of the from the depths that are coming up to the surface. And so, of course, this is what we want. The color palette of this is incredible, and it's smaller than the first one, but I bet there's more coming. And coming soon, we will have Death in the Deep, which is in the midst of the ocean. So first we have the trenches and the down parts of the ocean, and then we have the middle deeps, and then we'll have the surface. So I'm entirely excited to see what happens in this new collection. I am hoping that I can read volume 1 and volume 2 all next to each other. I don't believe that I know any of the authors, but I will state their names. So in this anthology, you can read stories by T.L. Beating, Chris Williams, Christopher Saylor, that's a good one, David R. Polsdorfer, Greg V. Landry, Melina Douglas, Matt Bliss, Stephanie Kvelstadt, Karen Lethlean, Nancy Schumann, Jay Sykes, Katie Marie, I'm not sure, Rachel Nussbaum, Lisa Fox, and Shannon Frost Greenstein. And I'm excited. Something happened to my copy though, which I hope that you can see, but it's all fucked up here. I don't know what happened, if it was me when I got it home, or I don't know. Look at that. I'm so sad. But it happens, and it doesn't maculate the content of the book, so we will deal with it. Next, also by J. Alexander, we have the third one in the Price Manor series, which, if you haven't watched my review of the Price Manor, I would advise you to do so. Shameless plug, I will leave it linked up above, but I gave the first 2 books 5 stars, even though they're very, very different from one another, and every single bit of the series is written by a different author. So it's a bunch of authors from the Deadline Horror Collective, which is the editor of this, and they each write a story about Price Manor. And this one is The House That Falls by J. Alexander. First of all, I love the color palette of this. I do believe that he's the one that does the covers as well, and I am in love. It's a purple one, so as you can see, it's one for me. And it has some greens there and some blues. It's just perfect palette color. And it says 17th century England, the climax of the English Civil War. King Charles has fallen, but the Roundheads still struggle daily against Cavalier battalions. And Morgan Fossey thought it couldn't get any worse. His troop defeated, his friends lying around him on a blood-soaked battlefield, and all his hopes of making it home alive dashed forever. Taking refuge with the Nowhere Boys, a group of elite soldiers under Cromwell's command, with a particularly dangerous mission, Morgan soon discovers that not all monsters are human and that some wars are fought inside 4 walls. The House That Falls is the 3rd installment of the Price Manor series and brings a monstrous building crashing further into the past, where it will not only destroy the helpless souls inside, but offer them a terrible choice, which I want to know what it is. I want to know more about Price Manor. I want to know more about these people. I am so excited. So yeah, I'm going to read this ASAP and hopefully review it as well. Now, getting a little tiny bit into the other point of the paranormal, we have Blue Lilies by Lucy Holden, which is part of the Night Garden saga. There's only one left in the Night Garden saga, and I'm collecting them slowly. This is a paranormal vampire romance story, but sort of connected to a strange Aztec curse, I think. I don't remember very well. I've read the first one, I've loved it, and now I'm getting all of these. I don't know what's happened in this one because I haven't read the other ones, but the covers of these are always beautiful. They always have to do with flowers, as do the titles. And this is about this girl, Harper. She gets to this Texan town, and she and her brother are renovating this building. Her sister has died. Her mother has died as well, I believe. Her dad is not in the picture. Yeah, I think that's the thing. And they go to this house and they discover that this house has an ancient curse. And in order to it not getting out, she kind of needs to marry the heir of the house. And he's a vampire. That's it. And it's kind of dark, actually. I wasn't expecting it to be as dark as it is, but you know me, I'm trash for paranormal romance with vampires. So this is my jam and I'm loving it. Then we have another that I've been wanting to get for a really long time, and that is Vanilla by Mona Kabani. If you don't know, I love Mona Kabani's writing. I have given 5 stars to her first novel, The Bell Chime, and I've reviewed it as well. I'm going to leave the link somewhere. And now I finally got my hands on her next novel, which is Vanilla. She writes horror, psychological horror specifically, and I'm very excited to get to this. It says, "Who knew innocence could cause so much death?" I love it. It says, "The cure for the sick is in the devil's blood. He invests this magic in the children. One child's life saved in exchange for a sacrifice, and parents are eager to sacrifice. But what happens when the devil comes across a child he cannot find the will to return, a child he wishes to keep? Vanilla sits in the concrete room, the one she has lived in since she has remembered, and smiles when the devil enters. She reaches her arms out, lets him cradle her against his chest, and calls him Daddy. Daddy fills her mind with nightmares of the outside, with all its creatures lurking, waiting to steal her from him, and she dreams of staying with him forever. But forever isn't feasible, that is, until the devil makes his own sacrifice." Sounds amazing, and I really want to read it, so I trust Mona's writing completely, and I'm very excited to have this in my hands. And lastly, we have a big one, probably because this volume contains 5 books in one, and it's crazy. It's really heavy, and it is the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. I do believe that this author has already passed away, sadly, in a car accident, I think. However, my opinions are my own, and I will review this as a book, a normal book, so if I like it, I like it, if I don't, I don't. But I am very intrigued with this. First of all, everyone in BookTube is now talking about this, even though I've seen it already. This used to be like a dark erotic sort of thing that was on Kindle, and people knew about it through there. And now I'm not really sure. I've seen a lot of people reading it physically, so I do believe that this is about this woman, and she is a serial killer, but she's trying to kill only people that have something to do with something tragic that happened to her when she was younger. And it's also the story of the detective that is searching for her, but doesn't know that she's a killer, and they are involved romantically, which might present a problem, obviously. So that's all I know about this. I've heard there's graphic descriptions of stuff. I've also heard there's descriptions of sexual relationships, which is normal since this is kind of dark romance sort of thing. So I am excited to see if this is as good as people say it is. People have said the writing is not great, but the plot of it is amazing and the characters are pretty cool. So I am invested, I am intrigued, and I want to know more. And this cannot go on a shelf because it's extremely heavy, so we're going to try and put it somewhere else. So yeah. So yeah, guys, that's going to be all for this book haul. Now, for good. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that if you know any of these books, or if you want to know any of these books, you just tell me something in the comments down below. And I will talk to you whenever I talk to you in the next video, I guess. So if you like this video, leave a like or subscribe. And that's going to be all for today. So happy readings to you all. Bye! I forgot a lot of books to shelf, and I don't know what to do because I have no space. We want to buy new shelves, but we don't have space to put them in. We need to get a house, but we don't have the money for it. So it's kind of complicated. Oh no.